All right. Welcome to a very special Rico Brogna here from Fanatics Fest. And we are pleased to be joined by the manager of our baseball team, even though they stink right now, Carlos Mendoza. Right over here, Mendy. By the way, and Pete Hoffman, come on up, who does a great job producing the Rico Brogna. First of all, before I ask you any hard-hitting question, you just did an autograph signing with Met fans. With a what the hell's going on? Like, how did the Met fans treat you for the last half hour?
As usually they do it, man. They're the best fans in the whole world. And they're right there with us through the good times and through the tough stretches like the ones we're in right now. So I love them, obviously. So much respect for them, and just hang in there. You know, we'll get through this.
Does this tough stretch, because it really does feel like it came out of nowhere, 6 in a row, everything's feeling good, even after the Senga injury. Did you kind of have a feeling that this was coming, or is this a shock, what we witnessed over the last week?
Yeah, I mean, going through a stretch like this, you never expect something like that. You know you're going to go through some, ups and downs, but to see it happening this quick, we didn't anticipate it, obviously. You hate to see Senga go down, McGill goes down, and then, you got a lot of guys that are struggling right now, whether it's the starting pitching, whether it's some of the guys offensively, their bullpen. So it's one of those where, like, we got to keep grinding. We got to keep grinding. We got to stay positive, and we will. We got a lot of good players there, and we just got to stay the course.
Your best attribute last year, in my opinion, was being the guy who got through really the hellscape that was the beginning of the season. Crisis management is what I thought as a Met fan. How would you compare this moment in time, a 7-game losing streak, with the struggles of what you guys had last year?
They're all different, but the one thing that, as a manager, as the leader of the team, we have to be consistent. We got to go back to the room and, where can we improve? Relying on the coaches and then trusting the players. We got good players, man. At some point, sooner rather than later, they're gonna come out. And we'll get back on track. Truly believe that. But comparing last year to this year, like I said, every situation is different. But at the end of the day, we got a job to do, and you just got to trust your players.
Well, I remember at the beginning of the year asking about J.D. Martinez and Jose Iglesias. Are you going to miss them? Because I think of that turnaround and J.D. saying, we all had a meeting, we said everyone thinks we suck, don't worry, let's relax. Do you miss that kind of leadership, or is that leadership there right now in that room during a moment like that?
Yeah, no, we learn a lot from those guys. They were a huge part of what we did last year, whether it was a guy like JD, a guy like Iglesias. But, like, the core group is still intact, and they learn a lot from the adversity that we faced last year. And the guys that we got in that room are the perfect guys to handle this storm. Myself as the manager, our coaches, and then, some of our veterans, they've been through it before, and they got through it. So they found a way, and they will this time, too.
All right, so last night, the non-challenge on the Brandon Nimmo ground ball to shortstop, what happened? Because we were all looking at it. We think he's safe, and the first baseman, Kemp, came off the bag. Why not challenge?
Yeah, I mean, we always pick up the phone. We rely on our guy that is looking at the cameras and all the angles, and whenever he says challenge, we challenge. If not, we keep going. And
were you pissed off at him after the game? Because that's to me, that's an easy base hit. And with Soto coming up, who knows, the game changes. I know it's not like you are waiting, so obviously you can't see it, but are you a little pissed off saying, hey, dude, what's going on?
Nah, I mean, look, he's one of the best at what he does at his job, That was a tough one there. Obviously, he didn't think at the time that, there was enough to overturn it. And that's why we went with it.
All right, so the ground ball that gave the Phillies the 1-0 lead. I'm sitting at home, Beatty makes the play, and I'm screaming, throw home. As manager, did he make the right play trying to turn a double play, or should he have gone home to get the lead runner?
No, it's that reaction play there, and you're going to do what the ball will dictate. And once he went back on the baseball, the play there is at second base, because the runner at third base went on contact. So, again, especially that early, you want to get that out there and kind of cut that rally short. So, now, if the ball takes him and he's going towards home plate with that momentum, then you go there. So I think it's more like a reaction play there.
Now, you mentioned, you said something actually the other day when asked about this losing streak. Hey, what do you look at as the main reason why? And you mentioned the starting pitching. And obviously the starting pitching hasn't been great. But to me, I've been more angry at the offense, thinking the starting pitching carried you guys for the first 70 games of the year. Now it's their turn. Why do you think an offense as talented as this has not only underperformed all year, but over the last bunch of games has done nothing? How do you answer for why this offense hasn't produced?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when you look at our lineup,
It's good.
it's really good.
Yes.
And you're right, like our starting pitching and our pitching staff as a whole is carrying us all the way to this point. Now they hit a bump in the road, and we need our guys to step up, and they will. Obviously we're going through a stretch where we're facing some really good arms. So you got to give them credit as well. But I know the hitting coaches are working really hard. I know the guys continue to work. And look, man, it's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if today we put a eight spot there early.
Are you predicting an 8 spot right now?
I'm telling you.
Please, for the love of God.
We're too good, and those guys, once they get going, we'll roll.
What I find weird is, and I've been calculating this for a week now. This offense has not scored a single run in the 7th inning or later in 8 straight games. Is there a pressing reason? Is there any other reason why, even when you score runs, they tend to come early and late in games? They haven't scored a run in the 7th inning or later since last Wednesday. Why?
Oh, I'm telling you, got to give credit to the pitching staff too, And, when you get down, when you're chasing, you're down 3, you're down 4, like, that leadoff guy is going to take a strike. And if you can get guys on, those at bats, it's contagious, like getting that reliever from the stretch, putting pressure on the bases, making them work. And we haven't been able to do that. So it happens, you're going to go through stretches like this. But again, I'm going to go back to, we have good players, we got good hitters, and, we'll get through it.
So you hate people swinging at the first pitch? Is that what you're saying?
No. If I hate people swinging at the first pitch, look, with how every situation is different, and every situation will dictate whether you're gonna go for that first pitch, whether let's make him work. If you're facing an elite guy that is coming out of the bullpen that's got 2+ pitches, and one of them is, say, a nasty split, you take that fastball first pitch, pretty much your at bat is over, because you know what's coming next. So it depends who you're facing. You're down, you're up, you got runners on base, you want to be aggressive. If you're swinging at the first pitch and you're swinging at your pitch and not the pitcher's pitch, I have no issues with that.
Why the love affair with Jared Young? Like that one? I mean, why? Why is Marte not pinch hitting for him 3 days ago? That was, of all the moves, that was the one that actually annoyed me the most.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. You got a right-handed pitcher in Iglesias.
Okay.
Right? You, as a lefty, you take your chances of pulling the ball, and moving the guy over, Obviously, that didn't happen, So, but I was banking on the fact that, he's here on the team because of the offense.
Right.
We haven't seen much of it in that situation, man. Running outside Gomez, like I said, left-handed hitter. It's easy for him to pull.
Was and I go back and forth on this as a baseball geek, was there a thought to lay down a bunt thinking, let me get that lead runner to third, let me get that run. I know they got a runner on second too, but let's advance them the surest way possible. Is that a thought, and was that a thought in that spot?
It is a thought at times. Every situation is different, whether as a, I know there's teams that as a visitor that they don't like to play for one run,
Right.
But if you score one, they got to score 2,
Right.
So it depends also where you are pitching wise, so you go for the big rally there, knowing that I already used Diaz, I was already down from my high leverage guys there. So again, it's one of those where I was playing for a big rally there, and we didn't get the job done.
Do you think Francisco Alvarez has regressed?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's been hard for him, injuries, they have been a huge part of his development, especially with his hands. Last year he goes down, doesn't have much time, he gets back up. This year, spring training, he goes down again. And look, man, the kid is a hard worker, you know. And we got to help him get through there because there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of talent there. And it's on us to continue to help him.
Now, one last thing, because Carlos has to go. He's going to Philly because there is a game tonight. Are you considering any major lineup changes? Like, we've thrown out ideas like
What's your idea?
leading off Juan Soto, believe it or not. I've thrown that one out for a while. You didn't like my Alonso batting second idea. Still hasn't gone with it. But with the offense struggling, are there any crazy ideas like that you are considering to try to spark this team?
Nah, not at this time. Where do you want to hit Lindor?
I would, if it was me, I'd go Soto 1, Pete 2, Lindor 3.
All
Is
right.
that crazy enough for you?
You guys like that?
It's over with the crowd, Mendy.
We'll think about it.
That means you're not considering it at all.
Not at this time.
All right. Get to Philadelphia, score 8 runs, and get us a freaking win, please.
Let's go.
Thank you, Carlos Mendoza. I appreciate it. There he is.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And it's funny. Normally, I'd be so annoyed, Pete. I'd be like, he's got to go. What excuse does he have?
10 minutes, that's it? No, dude, I
But,
gotta,
but this is the rare time in which I'm like, you know what? You should go. We got a freaking game tonight in Philadelphia trying to snap a 7-game losing streak.
8 spot. He said an 8 spot. Put up 8 runs. Come on.
Here's the thing, because I've been battling this over the last 4 days as the Mets have been struggling, because at times I have been the really negative Met fan. Sometimes I'm the positive Met fan, but mostly negative. I trust this team, and maybe I'll be proven to be wrong that I shouldn't trust this team, but they earned a lot with what they did last year, with not just the return around, but the way they played from June on to even the first few months of the season. And so this does feel like just a really bad stretch, one of those when it rains, it pours kinds of situation. But the more the losses pile up, and they're also disheartening in their own ways, the more where it tests your positivity. Well, as I sit here right now, I still feel decent about them stopping this and all of us laughing about this a few weeks from now.
Well, it's twofold because, A, you had an opportunity to kill this long losing streak when you were up 5-1 or 4-1 or whatever it was that first game in Atlanta.
Against the Braves,
And that could have killed this whole losing streak. You lose that game, and then on top of it, you are losing to your division rivals. That is the worst part because Atlanta still owns the Mets, and the Phillies now are putting a hurt on us this series. That's killing us even more.
Yeah, the positive is when you have a long losing streak, like I brought this up on the Rico a few days ago, that in 2015, they also lost 7 in a row. When they lost 7 in a row in 2015, they dropped under 500. They put themselves in a really tough spot. Because they banked so many wins earlier this season, they're on a 7-game losing streak. They're a game out of first place. They're 4 games up on a playoff spot. And so luckily, all those wins early has at least given them a cushion to withstand a losing streak like this. But the more it continues, I mean, it's been 8 days since they've won a game. It's been 9 days since they've scored a run in the 7th inning or later. It becomes tougher. And the other thing is, we talked about this with him, every aspect of this team is struggling right now. You know, we saw it last night with Reed Garrett. I mean, Reed Garrett has been money. You know, even you look back at the Atlanta game, he inherited a tough situation. It was one bad pitch to Marcell Ozuna. It wasn't a full meltdown by Reed Garrett. He even made the big pitch when he needed to get out of it. But yesterday? And I know a lot of it was soft contact, but it was a meltdown. He didn't get an out. You put yourself in a spot in which he let the game slip away, and he was the last guy kind of remaining from the circle of trust outside of Edwin Diaz. So now the Mets have completed the quartet of suckitude. Their starting pitching is bad. They can't score any runs. Their defense has been inconsistent. And now you throw in a bad bullpen, and that's where it's like, oh, my God, do they do anything right now?
Well, there's no hope in sight at the moment because I don't know how they're going to win a game in Philadelphia. I don't.
Hold on.
I don't see this offense becoming alive out of nowhere.
But, Pete, last night, here's why Friday night's game freaking killed me. We all go in seeing Zach Wheeler against Blade Tidwell, and we're like, all right, that's going to be a loss. It's going to be ugly. They did. I'm going to actually give the Mets a compliment. How about that? I waited till Mendy to leave before I complimented the team. They had such great at-bats against Wheeler last night. They battled him. They fought him. And they got him out of the game after 5 innings. And so when they're down 2-0, and now they get Taijuan Walker, sleeper agent, for the New York Mets to come into this game. And we see Pete take advantage of it, McNeil take advantage of it. At 2-2 in the sixth inning, believe it or not, I'm like, wow, this is going to be the win that turns it around. We're in the Philly bullpen. It's a 2-2 game. Zach Wheeler's out. They're going to win this game. And yet the two things happened that couldn't happen. The offense did nothing once the sleeper agent came out, and all of a sudden they're making Tanner Banks look like he's, Billy Wagner in his prime. And, of course, the bullpen and Reed Garrett. But they were in position to break the losing streak last night in Philadelphia.
Yeah, but they never really were. They never had the lead. Even though those back-to-back home runs, that's what I expected out of Taijuan Walker. I expected them to jump on him. That's great, but I need to see more. And we didn't see that. We never saw a rally.
No.
We never saw bases loaded. We never saw anything. There was no primetime situation where the Mets ever gave you that hope that they were going to make that game.
They had one opportunity in this game. And
the first inning.
It was the first inning. And
like you said. You've said it over and over and
I know.
over.
Say it for me so I don't have to say it again.
The best time to get Zach Wheeler or an ace is in the first inning because that's where they're trying to figure out their stuff.
Yes. You got bases loaded, one out with Jeff McNeil up. And Dontrell Willis, who's actually really good, he's one of the national announcers I like. He nailed it. He said, this is the game. Now, TV executives don't want you to say that because they don't want you shutting the game off in the first inning. But that at-bat, by the way, there's something else about the announcers I got to bring up. This thing killed me last night. So we obviously have that weird play where the two Phillies are scoring at the same time, okay, on the two-run double or the three-run double by Bryson Stott. And so Wayne Randazzo and Dontrell Willis spent 2.5 innings talking about, wow, it could have been a double play. That's so rare. And he's talking about Carlton Fisk and when else has it happened? We as Met fans are sitting there saying, hey, bro, this happened in a playoff game with our franchise not that long ago.
Paul Lo Duca.
Can someone get in his earpiece and mention Paul Lo Duca in Game 1 of the 2006 NLDS? Because the 2006 National League Division Series, where the Mets swept the Dodgers, is literally the most forgettable playoff series in the history of the Mets. No one remembers it, right? We won. It was great. I went to the games at City or Shea Stadium. I don't remember it. The only thing I remember from that entire freaking series was Paul Lo Duca tagging out two Dodgers in the second inning or whatever it was early in that series. That's it. And yet these guys are sitting there for 2 innings and they can't mention it. That annoyed me almost as much as getting their butts kicked by the Phillies. Literally, because I'm like, how do they not know this? And then finally, if you hung in there, in the 9th inning, someone got to Randazzo and said, oh, by the way, the Mets had that in 2006.
That's one of those plays where I actually remember where I was. I was sitting at K-Rock, 923 K-Rock, watching that game at the station when that play happened. I remember where I was because it was so memorable. Was Wayne Randazzo sleeping? What the hell?
Say it one more time.
Was Wayne Randazzo sleeping behind the wheel?
No. Wayne wasn't doing the Mets at the time.
No, I know.
And I think he's from Illinois. He's a Cub fan. It's not a knock on him. I guess it is a knock on him. It's more a knock on this is why national announcers are tough, because they don't know this stuff. We know this stuff. We're crazy.
Obsessed.
We're freaking Met fans. We're insane. So we know it. Gary Cohen would have known it. Keith Hernandez wouldn't have, but Gary would have told him, and then he would have said, oh, yeah. But that's the problem with the national broadcast. So here's the deal. They're a game out of first place. Tonight's game is so important. And, Mendy said it, and it better be true. It is on the offense. They need a game in which this offense just breaks out. And he seems hesitant to make a lineup change. And look, I think lineup changes can be overrated, but I think sometimes when you're struggling, it's worth a try. I have my sound reasoning why I would consider Soto leading off. It would basically tell Juan, if you're looking for walks, which he normally does, just do it. That's your job to get on base. And it could actually change his perspective a little bit. I think Pete would get better pitches to hit with Lindor protecting him. So I know it's weird. I don't know if it needs to be long-term, but it would be something I'd consider. But it certainly sounds like Mendy's not considering anything other than, hey, they're good. They'll find a way out of it.
Well, my question to you is this, though, because so far it feels like the Mets flow through Francisco Lindor. He's the tone setter, so you're going to move the tone setter away from the first spot of the leadoff spot of the game. It feels like
what tone has Lindor set in the last 5 days?
Well, but that's the last 5 games. Besides that, before that, he was the tone setter.
I understand.
Leadoff home runs. Listen, he's 0 for 18. It's not like he's 0 for 50.
Okay, but you know what I'd argue against with? Lindor right now is stinking so badly he doesn't get on base. When Juan Soto slumps, he gets on base. So if Juan Soto, and I know I got one of the many angry emails I got last night, and I'm going to paraphrase here, was a guy saying he was annoyed Soto took all the way on 3-0 against Wheeler and stepped out of the box in the third inning. Do you guys remember this at-bat? It was 3-0,
right?
And he literally stepped out before the pitch even crossed the zone. Juan Soto looks for walks. That annoys some people. If he's leading off, are you going to be as annoyed with him looking for walks? The tone set is getting on base. Lindor's not getting on base.
Right.
And I know, well, but Soto makes $750 million. He's not paid to get on base. I don't care about that right now. You know what I care about? Finding ways to score freaking runs and winning games. So I don't think it's a crazy idea. And you're right, Lindor's a tone setter, but he's also in a massive slump right now. And I wanted to ask this to Mendy, but of course he had to be whizzed off to Philadelphia. Is Lindor hurt? Like, is that pinky toe issue affecting him? Because he hasn't gotten a hit in what feels like a week. So it could just be a slump, or this could be affecting him. I'm not sure. But he's got to get going because, like you said, he's a tone setter, and right now the tone is terrible.
Yeah, no, again, I don't believe that Juan Soto is going to do that because he is looking for walks. That used to be the Nimmo route. Look for walks, get on base, then not steal. Like, I need somebody that I still love Lindor because even right now, even with his bad toe, he's still aggressive on the base pass when he gets on the base.
Right. Right, which he doesn't do.
Right,
now, let me knock Soto for a few things, all right?
Hey.
The throw to Alonso when the runner at second, I got my scorecard right here, I can analyze this. When, I forget who it was, it may have been Alec Boehm or Castellanos, one of them, went first to third on Soto, basically having his head up his rear end and throwing a little lollipop to Pete Alonso. That kind of stuff, that small stuff, it matters when you're stinking in every facet of your game. They got to clean that stuff up. And I worry, you know, Mendy says they got leaders in the locker room. I worry that they don't have the J.D. Martinez in that room that they had last year. Because when they went through that slump, think back a year ago to when they had the team meeting. The crux of the team meeting was J.D. Martinez told everybody thinks we stink, let's relax and have fun. You can't do that this year. There isn't a everybody thinks we stink route this year. It's the opposite. Everyone thinks you're good this year. So I wonder what the message is in that room, if they're ever going to have a team meeting, if they need a team meeting, if that stuff is overrated. But right now there's a lot of bleeding going on, and they got to put a damn Band-Aid on it. And I usually have the belief, though the Yankees prove me wrong, just get a win. If you get a win, things will turn. I thought that for the Yankees didn't happen last night. They got their win, and here's Luke Weaver giving up a home run, and they lost. But I do feel that way about the Mets. Maybe it's misguided. Just get a win, and things can turn.
I trust Carlos. Like, the one thing I see about Carlos Mendoza, he understands and reads the room well. I think he understands that locker room, knows who to talk to, knows how to motivate them. It's a rough patch. I think they've all gone through it. I think he's going to fix it. I don't think he needs another voice right now.
I'll tell you this about Mendy. So before, about an hour ago, before we came out, Mendy was here at Fanatics Fest, and it's tremendous for everyone checking it out. He did an autograph signing. So I saw him before the autograph signing, and I'm like, hey, Carlos, what's up? And he says, how are you? And I pulled a Joe Beningo, the great Joe B. I said, how am I doing? I'm doing terrible. Can you guys win a freaking game? And Mendy had a great answer. He says, how do you think I feel? And I said, not good. So he is feeling it. He's kind of wearing it. And I'm actually happy he showed up because there was a back of my mind worry, not because of him, but because some former Met managers and former kind of players who on a losing streak would duck and say, you know what, I'm not going to meet the Met fans and sign autographs. I'm not going to do an interview on a Rico Brogna. I don't want to deal with it. And Mendy felt comfortable enough coming to Philly, meeting all you crazies, sitting down for 10 minutes, and I guess that shows me a confidence in his own skin about what's happening right now. And hopefully that's a sign that he's the right guy to turn this ship around, which at least he did last year.
No, well, that's why I feel like we stole from the Yankees. Like, he had an opportunity. Like, they could have moved on from Boone at any point in time, bring Carlos Mendoza, make him the manager of the Yankees. The Mets stole him. Like that's one thing I heard about was Mendoza's skill set, how he connects to the players, how he listen. He knows who he wants. There's a reason why Luis Severino was here. There's a reason why Clay Holmes is here. There's a reason why Frankie Montas is here. There's a connection there.
Well, if you believe that, how confident are you in Frankie Montas next Tuesday?
With that 12 ERA in the minors, not very much.
You know what? I got good news regarding that. Frankie Montas is battling for his livelihood. He is not guaranteed a rotation spot. Sean Manaea is on his way back. Let's see what Paul Blackburn does his next turnaround. Let's see what Frankie Montas does his next turnaround. Let's see what Griffin Canning does tonight against the Phillies. I think that performance is going to dictate if you make your next start, and then hopefully Kodai Senga returns. So he's not guaranteed a spot in the rotation for life. Right now, the only guys who I think should feel comfortable is David Peterson, who's pitched like an ace, and believe it or not, Clay Holmes. I know his last start wasn't great. I still have a confidence in Clay Holmes, but notice this. They're inserting Montas on Tuesday, which means Holmes gets pushed back a day. I think they're going to really try to be careful with Clay Holmes getting extra rest. And if you look at the schedule, which, yes, I have, they can do that now for a while, where they can kind of give him an extra day going into the All-Star break before they get healthy, and then we'll see what the rotation looks like coming out of the break.
Is the experiment working with Clay Holmes as a starting pitcher? Do you think it's successful? The fact, I mean, I used to bust their chops.
So far it has been.
But now all of a sudden we got to go back. Now he's got a pitch count. Now he's laboring through 4 innings.
Well, hold on. He didn't have a pitch count the other day. He threw a million pitches.
Oh, I know he did.
That was on him. I think they're trying to be preemptive with him so that he doesn't break down and get injured. But look, we got a month before trade deadline action really heats up. We'll have a better idea if they actually do need to trade for a starter, or if they need to add 2-3 relievers like they did last year, or if it's a bat. But it starts with the offense. Tonight in Philadelphia, Sunday night in Philadelphia, and then coming home against Atlanta. And Mendy said they faced a lot of good pitching. Sure they have. They've also faced a lot of crappy pitching. Tanner Banks is a guy you can beat up. Go beat him up. You know, they're facing a young pitcher today who's pitched well. He's still a young pitcher who's only started 3 major league games. Beat him up. It starts with the offense. We've said this all year before the season started. Their identity needs to be their offense. It needs to start now. It's been half a season of them not hitting with runners in scoring position. That's got to change. And hopefully it does. If it doesn't, we're going to have a lot more angry Rincos as the season goes on.
Well, not for nothing, though, but like last year we talked about early on when the team struggled that there were moves made by David Stearns. He didn't hold back on Joey Wendell. He didn't make him play long enough.
I heard you say that on your overnight show.
Yeah.
He made moves. Well, my question is, what kind of gutsy move right now would you even entail?
Like, cut Paul Blackburn. Stop putting him out there.
They need starters.
For what? To give up 4 runs? I could do that. And I won't get it out, I promise you.
He's made 2 starts. One of them was good. The other one, he got off to a very bad start and then pitched a couple of decent innings. They're not equipped to cut Paul Blackburn.
They're going to have to, though. Blake Tidwell did fine yesterday.
Well, Jared Young, who Mendy has the love affair with, he should be gone when Vientos is activated on Monday. And that's going to be an interesting decision because they could send down Mauricio with the thought being, well, he hasn't hit. He's not going to play as much. I wouldn't do that because I would move Mauricio to the Young spot of here's my left-handed DH. He's a better left-hand hitter anyway. Continue to give him an opportunity. I'd send Jared Young back down. I'd give Vientos a full opportunity to play third base. And between Mauricio, Vientos, and Beatty, and McNeil and Taylor, play the hot hand.
So you're going to basically figure out who's going to be the third baseman this year between those 3 guys.
Yeah, and whoever's hitting plays. I'll tell you this, when Vientos come back, I want him playing. We need to see Mark Vientos. I thought he was actually showing signs of breaking out of it.
I know.
Unfortunately, the injury came at a wrong time. So when Vientos is activated this week, let him play. And let this be a competition of young guys. And let's see what happens. But I do feel good about the homestand coming up. I don't necessarily feel good about the next 2 days. And honestly, get a win. If you get 1 win in Philly and you're a game out, coming back home with those games against Atlanta and then 3 games in Pittsburgh, it's like you've almost survived this huge run, this huge bad streak that you're on.
Can I just mention, because you mentioned Tyrone Taylor, and I'm not saying I've fallen in love with him defensively, but he is taking over defensively as the best defender out there. He makes play after play.
No doubt.
And we're sitting here talking about how we're going to upgrade at the one position where defensively you feel sound. Cedric Mullins, is he that much of an upgrade? Is there anyone out there, center field-wise, that's that much of an upgrade?
Jarren Duran.
Yeah, well, are you going to what are you going to give up for him?
Yeah, but here's the thing about Jarren Duran that I'm really drawn in by. You're getting him for now and the future. Like, he's under team control for a couple of years. I think that center field, look, Tyrone Taylor's a wonderful defender. He's not an everyday center fielder. He's just not. I know he's had some good moments. He's won the Rico I'm the Man Now Star of the Series twice.
Twice.
But he's not an everyday center fielder. Let this month be a test on where they need to upgrade offensively. They do have Jesse Winker coming back at some point, but they got to hit. And it starts with the guys that are currently here, and it starts this weekend in Philly where they've had some success. Either way, we appreciate you coming out. Enjoy Fanatics Fest. This is a wonderful time. And hopefully next year, when we're doing a Rico Brogna from Fanatics Fest, it's off a 7-game winning streak.
Yes, please.
And not us all watching painful baseball for a week and a half. But remember, you can download the Rico. Where do you download the Rico? Wherever you download your podcast?
Audacy app, first of all. Definitely go to the Audacy app, and then anywhere else you get your...
And can you still buy the Rico T-shirt?
Yes,
like,
you can.
She in the front row is wearing?
It's on the website. It's on the link. Go check it out. Buy the Rico T-shirt. Take a picture with that lovely lady over there, and you're going to want one. You get it orange or blue.
Look at that.
You got the orange.
I
got
love the orange. You can wear the blue as well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out. And let's go, Mets.